across the United States, which is very exciting. And my friend Greg Haluska up in Sedona right now, he traveled there from Phoenix, so he's enjoying himself in the Red Rocks. As you all know, our work is centered around the magic and the mystery of the star tetrahedron, because it is the mystical marriage of divine masculine and divine feminine. And so it is what we call initiatory work, that we are ready to do the initiatory work of stepping in really to the embodiment of Source from within. Now, before that, back in the early times of my work, I began with golden light meditation. And this is the image of the perfected being that is ready for golden or ready for star tetrahedron work. They have brought the light of the soul into relationship with the aura, with the physical body. They have cleansed and purified the physical form and the emotional body, as well as the mental body. And so now they are ready to begin the initiatory work. And you can see in this particular diagram that this individual, which again was the beginning of my work, and I took many of you through that work, it was really about reaching outside to the soul, to the divine self, which was and is a magnificent type of work. But in a way, you see, it is still looking for source. It is looking for spirit, when in fact, in the star tetrahedron work, when we open the sacred doorway within the heart, because we have brought the mystical marriage into union, we then no longer are looking for source. We simply, by opening the doorway within the heart, we become the living embodiment of source. And so we become an open doorway. Now, this next image, you can see there's still a few darker clouds within the lower area of the body. The upper part, the mental, from the diaphragm up, pretty clear. And so this individual, through the mind and through examination and through questing, has found the knowledge, the wisdom of source, of spirit. And so they are highly realized beings within the mind. But you can see that there still is some darker energy below the diaphragm, which is held emotion, still some fear, some worry, or some sadness. And so this is what the golden light meditation did. It brought the soul into relationship with the body, and then was able to cleanse and purify the emotional body, and thus self-love was established. Now, with the star tetrahedron work, we are automatically cleansing and purifying the aura at all levels. That's really the magic of this work, that it is no longer looking for source as we work with the star tetrahedron, and we open the sacred doorway within the center, which is within the area of the heart chakra. And as we open that sacred doorway, literally spirit then, source, springs forth from inside out. And so then we're no longer looking for source, we become the embodiment of it literally. And this then begins to create the light body. And the light body is the next wave of evolution for humanity. We have reached the apex of development for the human being. The mind is highly developed. But now we must evolve into the human divine, which is to create the mystical marriage of divine power and divine love. And this happens when we're no longer looking for something to fulfill us. We have self-love. We realize that within us is the oneness of source. And at the same time, as we now bring divine power, which is the very clear focusing of attention, power, light, upon the star tetrahedron, it then opens the doorway, and from out of it then source arises forth. So a very magnificent thing. So the star tetrahedron work is about using the mind to hold attention and focus upon the imagination. Imagination is really the key to all deep spiritual work, because what we can focus the mind with deep clarity and intention and hold it on the imagination, it literally creates a light wave, a quantum field of energy emanating out. And then, as the source substance from inside the star tetrahedron, the source substance of spirit, as it arises forth, it touches the facets of the star tetrahedron, and then the image and the imagination that we are holding, this light emanent from us, begins to actually clothe that with life and light. And so we move into the place of manifestation, which is a very new wave upon the planet, but happening for a lot of people. This is another image of the star tetrahedron around the body. I like to see the star tetrahedron from about the crown chakra, the area of the pineal gland in the very center of the forehead, down to the coccyx at the base of the spine. And then as the upper triangulation, divine power is turning left to right, and the lower triangulation is turning right to left. It opens the sacred doorway back into spirit, what we would call the void, but the void is not the void. It is filled with spirit waiting to become manifest. And as you well know, this is the image that I often show you of the void, the open doorway. This is also the black hole that exists at the very center of all galaxies. And so it is from out of this doorway that the galaxy then emanates out. And the stars are the body of this great galactic being. Even an atom has within the very center of it a black hole. And around it, the atom moves with such rapidity that it creates a quantum field of light. And so a photon of light actually emits light. That's what a photon of light is. This is another wonderful image I enjoy of the open doorway. And this is exactly what happens, you see, with us. Once we open the doorway, then light streams out. And as it streams out, touching the star tetrahedron, it then ignites into light. And that emanation of light from us then is a golden, sparkling, effervescent, dancing light. And it is sparkling, dancing, effervescent light, literally photons of living light, just like the sun. And it's the sun that from its radiance actually creates all life on earth. It now becomes the same with us. As we are emanating from the star, this exquisite light, this sparkling, effervescent light, it then goes out, and then the mind and the imagination then gathers it into what we have visualized. That's manifestation. One of the things we always do in our work before we begin the actual meditation is the breath work. It's a very important and a very beautiful part of our work because it actually helps us begin to focus the mind to the open doorway. And with the so, it's the so of from Ujjayi breathing. It's the so that breathes. And as we then open the doorway, we then can see ourselves calling spirit into life through us. And then with the hum, so hum, it's a gentle letting go and allowing spirit as golden sunlight and peace to simply flow from us. So it's a very exciting and a very dynamic thing, and it begins to focus the mind. It keeps us attentive at the open doorway, which is so beautiful and very important. And then as we are doing the Soham breath, we find it calms the body quite beautifully because it's also stimulating the vagus nerve, which goes from the pineal gland clear down to the coccyx at the base of the spine. And it's the nerve, the sympathetic nerve, that keeps the body very quiet and very peaceful. It's activated when you walk on the beach, when you're with a very loving person, when you're with an animal that you truly adore. That's the stimulation of this great feeling of peace. So it's a very important and a very beautiful work. When we're doing the Soham breath, we want the spine to be quite erect. And even in our meditation, we want to see the spine erect, almost as though there's a string at the top there that gently pulls us up, elongating the spine. Because the spine, the spinal column, is the open doorway between divine power and divine love. And so it is the tube of light that goes from up high to down below that is the spinal column. And it's around this that the star tetrahedron turns. When we're doing the Soham breath, it's wonderful to be able to breathe in quite deeply, belly breathing, where we let the belly go out and then we fill the lungs. And then we hold for a couple of counts and a gentle resting. And then with the out breath, so now the hum, we simply feel the breath going out in a very gentle, peaceful way, emptying the lungs, then down to the belly, and then holding for a couple of counts. And once again, so summoning from the open doorway within the heart. So as we do the Soham breath, I'd like to invite you to be quite focused on seeing and feeling the light of the mind, watching yourself summon light from inside out. It will help you in your work with the star tetrahedron and in all the parts of your life because it is so very peaceful and calming. I always do the Soham breath with eyes open because I like to do it driving, gardening, walking, pretty much wherever I am. It just keeps me centered and calm, and the summoning of spirit is an actual vibrational tone and feeling that you feel around you. So it's quite wonderful. So we'll do about 5 minutes of Soham breath. So at your own pace, let's go ahead and begin with the in-breath So. Holding for a couple of counts and the gentle letting go. Very beautiful, deep, rhythmic breath, focused on summoning from out of the open doorway in the heart, source, spirit. A couple of more deep breaths. And slowly coming back into the now. I'd like to invite you to play with the Soham breath when you're walking. If you're at the office or your work, you can simply kind of move your interior focus within, drop down to the heart, and feel yourself breathing spirit from inside out. I think you'll find that very quickly it can begin to diffuse things around you, create a place of peace and calm around you. And so it's a wonderful thing to do, particularly when you're driving. I think if you do it when you're driving, you won't find any strange and weird people driving around you. So the star tetrahedron is one of the most mystical and magical things that has been brought forth because it is the mystical marriage of divine power, apex above, divine love, apex beneath. And the movement of these counter-rotating triangulations opens the sacred doorway literally back into the void. It's an interdimensional doorway. And then we become the open doorway for source to arise from inside out. Now, the upper triangulation of divine power is turning left to right. And the lower triangulation, divine love, is turning right to left. This is what creates the mystical marriage, these two counter-rotating triangulations that then open the doorway within the middle, from out of which then source arises forth. And as we are doing the star tetrahedron, again, we are maybe using the Soham breath to feel ourselves summoning from the interior of the open doorway spirit, and with a gentle hum letting go. As spirit touches the facets of the spinning star, it literally spins out living light from all around us. And it can go any distance. So if you simply think of an individual, which I will be doing in the meditation here, I will simply be spinning out light and love and joy. And because there is no time space in this particular dimension that I'm in, I'll be able then to simply sit with everyone and touch them with the living light. So it's quite a magical thing. It's not a solid structure. It's a quantum field created of consciousness and light. And so it is then moving completely within and through you. So as you're doing the star tetrahedron, make sure you're feeling it in back, in front, on all sides, and then simply sitting in the open doorway as source arises forth. So I'll take you through the sequencing of the meditation. We begin by bringing our attention between the eyebrows. And we feel the body relax. And if we should like to begin the Soham breath, and then we bring our attention between the eyebrows and draw a line straight back to the approximate center point of the head, the pineal gland, the seat of the soul. It's the outpost of divine light for the great soul you are, perfect. And then we ignite here an electric blue light, imagination, and we imagine an electric blue light within the center of the head. And as we hold attention here, we feel the light increasing. We allow the light to fill the mind. You can imagine the waters of the brain becoming electric blue, divine mind. We bring our attention down to the heart chakra where we illuminate with imagination the star tetrahedron. And the upper triangulation apex above divine power is turning left to right, clockwise. The lower triangulation, divine love, is turning right to left counterclockwise. As the star tetrahedron turns, it opens a sacred doorway within the very middle of the heart chakra, in the chest, back into spirit, and arising forth as a living spring. It touches the facets of the spinning star and becomes living light, eminent, shining, radiant from all around us. Let's sit quietly together for about 35, maybe 40 minutes. I will gather us all together in a circle of light as we become unified in oneness. And very easily now, coming back into the now. The beauty of the star tetrahedron is that we're no longer looking outside of the self for source, for God. We have reached this place in our consciousness where we have read about source, understood all the great books that teach us about the wisdom of source, which is all very beautiful. But now comes the initiatory time where you learn to weave the divine masculine and divine feminine back together, and then opening the sacred doorway within the very center of the heart, literally spirit source arises forth. Because it is the pureness of all that is, the oneness of source, God, whatever you would like to call it, it automatically begins to cleanse and purify the body. It begins to wash away emotions, old things from the past. So it is a very dynamic way to begin to work at a much higher level of consciousness. The practicing of the star over time, it becomes so natural. I remember when I first began, it was simply breathing from the heart out. And as I was breathing out, I could feel the source arising forth. But it was over time that I began to realize that it was the mystical marriage, and the star tetrahedron is really the way that it creates this quantum field of light and energy around us that then spins out from the open door of source, sparkling, effervescent, living light. And that is such a strong and powerful vibration. It goes out and very rapidly not only changes your body and those around you, but literally goes out into the world. And it is the vibration of the new heavenly man and woman, the divine human being that is being architected on the planet now. And we see the breaking down of the old paradigm with the virus, with the financial, with the economical, with the social, and then with even Mother Earth herself going through quite a crisis of identity as she's being quietly destroyed. We have to move into a new paradigm to really save humanity and save Earth. A lot of great workers in the field out there, and I just found a beautiful one. It was called, it was about an animal communicator, and this woman was definitely one with source at her particular field, what was her particular genre, and so it was exciting. Zach Bush, another great one, Dr. Zach Bush, many people. So it's important to practice. We practice at 7:30 in the morning and 4:30 every evening. I send out a text to those who are interested, and then we gather together once again in the light. If you have any questions or any way I can serve you in the work of the star tetrahedron, please get a hold of me by email, phone, whatever is easy for you. I'm here to serve you, and I want to thank you. Anything on the Western Front?
No, very quiet out there.
Okay. I want to thank you for the magnificent time that I have as I do this work with you. I always feel the increase of my dynamic radiance, the light from within. And it's because we have joined together in a group of really light waves. So thank you once again, and namaste, my dear friends.